That works. Hey guys, so time to end off Revival Week with something a bit more NA focused, and I got my boy Buckethead back with me.
Hello, everyone.
And we're just gonna probably do a quick go over of the Frag Blocktober event coming up because it's gonna be a pretty big Frag event. But I think you could speak to that far better than I can, Mr. Frag.
Mr. Frag's a big title, but
Between the
no,
two
yeah,
of
this
us,
is no, this is gonna be definitely the biggest Frag event at minimum since the postponement after COVID. But 44 teams signed up right now. A lot of really big names for a local NACS land. We also have the last tournament before the VRS cutoff, which is really cool because it's getting a lot of publicity from HLTV and other sources. And I think we just got to jump straight into the teams showing up because I'm a little excited.
So who are you excited for particularly?
Okay, well, I do have a list. These are all of the teams that I feel are prominent enough to at least get shouted out. And then I can talk later about who I think will do good. But to go through the list of people I picked out: Ecstatic, 9Z, Copenhagen Wolves, Minlate, which is a thrown together roster with some names on there like Almanac and otherwise. Saw, Sharks, Marsborn, Skin Rave, Metasport, even though they just got their shit kicked in. Fnatic, Bastia, Colleche, Inner Circle, OG, 500, Wildcard, Big, NIP, 9, Boss, Getting Info, Liquid, Sportsbet, and I threw Lag in on this list, even though that might feel out of place. But in terms of NA teams right now, Lag is probably the best team that doesn't get any recognition towards them. They just came second place in the advanced playoffs. I think they actually are a contender to make playoffs.
Hell yeah. I mean, NIP are also previous Frag champions, correct?
NIP are, Colleche are, and sort of Skin Rave are because Blue Jays, but then the whole roster shuffle
Yeah,
stuff
some
happened.
members of that squad.
Yeah, there are a decent bit of previous Fragadelphia winners here. I mean, Slights won like 7 Fragadelphia events. Obviously, that was a long time ago, but and then Freshies on Sportsbet now, the entirety of NIP, who, as far as I know, Wrinkle still doesn't have his visa. So,
Ooh.
yeah, not sure exactly how that's gonna work. Actually, I'm gonna check who's
NIP.
registered for the team. You speak. I'm gonna check some really quick.
I mean, sure. I really am excited to see more out of NIP since, especially since they got U-Jerks that they got rid of, or was it who was the other guy from the Spaniard squad that they got rid of? But they brought in Kaspersky.
They got rid of Arados.
Yeah, Arados. And they brought in Kaspersky, who he was originally being discussed about going between G2 and NIP was the conversation, or at very least I know G2 asked after him and they said that as much. But I think they're pretty happy with Mattis.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great player all around. Yeah, I mean, who do you think is a contender to really win and make it like towards that ending? Because we do have the bracket. We know that there's 2 teams per group to make it out, blah, blah, blah. But I feel like it's pretty obvious which teams are going to make it to playoffs. And then once we get to playoffs is when it's actually going to get a bit more messy with our predictions and how we think it's going to go. So I want to know what you think.
Well, it'll be a really interesting. I feel like, finals or victory or bust is a failure for Liquid in any other way for the caliber of team that they are versus the competition in the field. I get with the return of a Liege, it'll be a different system. It'll be, swapping him out for Twists, but still with the individual caliber of player that they carry, Shuhei should not be losing in the calling department for the most part to anyone here except, maybe Snappy or someone having a good day, or who even calls for Fnatic anymore? Or no, Fear calls on Fnatic. Liquid just feels like such a class above the rest of these teams that it should pretty much be them winning, or they need to make finals at a bare minimum. And then, NIP are a previous champion team that I also personally think of very highly of. Their entire lineup is pretty great. I know Wrinkle can be rather up or down, but I think Kaspersky is fantastic. I'll always pull for Snappy. Shush is far too overqualified to be in that team still, but here we are. What do you think?
I think if Liquid doesn't win, this is going to be the most embarrassing moment in North American esports. And I don't even think that's like an exaggeration in any way. Obviously, there's other teams from NA here, so like at the end of the day, we're rooting for NA, whatever. But like, if Liquid loses to almost any team here, you know what? If Liquid loses to any team here, I think that is the biggest shit stain that has ever been placed on top of a team that once won an Intel Grand Slam.
A long time ago.
Long time ago, but two of the players are still there. You have Shuei, who's one of the smartest IGLs in the scene right now, and he's still young and he's still up and coming. Ultimate, I would love to sing his praises, but it has been a bit inconsistent since his original, time getting picked up. People have figured him out a little bit better. NACS was Rookie of the Year, has won a Tier 1 event, was one of the most important players in the free agency periods that we were talking about when ENCE was breaking apart, and obviously that was a while ago now. You have Elige, Naf, NACS, and Shuhei, right? We'll keep Ultimate on the table because he's just a bit of a different story. If you lose to anyone at this tournament, it is such a fucking embarrassment. And I mean no disrespect to any team going.
Truth.
It is just, that's just objectively fact.
It's absolutely the truth. And, Ultimate, I get, is rather feast or famine. The caveat I'll always bring up for the NERTS trophy win at Dallas is that was back when Dallas was after the major, so no one gave a shit, and they would always send teams with subs, or people would, not show up because they would want to go on player break early. But I still obviously think incredibly highly of NERTS. My biases towards ENCE will always go back to, that first roster before they even brought in Madden with, Doto, D-Hop, Snappy, Spinks, and Hades, which then evolved into the, Sun Pius, Madden, NERTS editions, all under Saw, which would win that trophy we talked about. And obviously, anyone who watches Tier 1 should know who Saw is. But it's a pretty big embarrassment, honestly, for the past year, their results to me for what this team was capable of. And especially when coming out of the gate, they did those back-to-back victories over Na'Vi before they made their roster change coming out of the player break. And obviously Na'Vi has not been the major winning team that they once were, but there's still nothing to slouch at.
Yeah, no. And, man, I mean, like, I guess a team like NIP, right? If they beat Liquid, that's not as bad, right?
No, I think NIP is kind of the only acceptable opponent here.
Yeah, because you're not losing the big. Like, come on.
Dude, if you get BlameF'd, I'm not. I just did a video literally like 2 days ago about, and I threw this out there, shot in the fucking dark. If they wanted to try someone in place of Ultimate, Jambo's not a bad shout, and he's on Fnatic.
Yeah,
he probably they would never get it because he was their most expensive player in the signing in the history of the CS division of Fnatic. So.
In all honesty, I kind of do like this Fnatic roster as well. Like, I think genuinely, this is a bit of a off point. I think the most surreal moment in my career so far is going to be able to be casting Crims on Fnatic, play a tournament. Like, it's different. Like, Liquid, obviously, that's going to be like such a surreal moment. But Crims was, back in 2014, he was the first player to learn how to hold an angle. He defined the way that Counterstrike is played in the current meta, and it was very long ago and it was very bare bones back then. But like, that's going to be such a just cool moment, and I hope that I have the chance to at some point just speak to him, because like that's just crazy to me to process that I'm going to be casting Crims at a local LAN in the middle of Chinatown, Philadelphia.
Yeah, Crims is going to be at a local LAN in NA. What the hell?
What the hell is a polar bear doing in Texas?
Arlington, Texas.
That's like Cold Zera being at Knoxville. Same vibe. Like, it's like, what are you? You're not supposed to be here. This is weird.
It also doesn't help, or it doesn't hurt that he's put up like 1.08 for the current existence of the lineup that they have. Like, he's not a bad player by any means. Still, he's still absolutely a good, serviceable player.
I also, I know I'm kind of just bouncing all around the place, but I do want to talk something specific NA, right? Okay. We talked about how the major VRS ranking, the closing date is the last day of the or the day after the last day of the tournament, or the last day of the tournament. We're the last event. There is quite, I don't want to say realistic potential for some shuffling, but it is a possibility that we have two teams, Marsborn and 9Z, 11th and 12th respectively right now. So they're not going to make the major as of us recording this video.
Right.
However, there are two teams in front of them that are both going to be at this event that very easily could slip up and fall down, that being Skin Rave and Wildcard. So I do just want to stress the importance of, specifically for 9Z and Marsborn, this tournament and being there and even going against the teams that are, you know, you're competing for the major spot with, and the potential that, you know, they could face each other in playoffs maybe. And it could be, you know, we say the whole RMR, like we're the new RMR thing, but like realistically, there is a world where Skin Rave goes against Marsborn in the round of 16 or the quarterfinals of this tournament, and that match determines who gets to go to the major. And that's a really exciting prospect for me as well.
That is really unbelievably hype. And I feel like, not to bounce again, I feel like I don't know how to feel about Wildcard, you know? Because they're not bad, but just with all the shuffles, all the stuff that they've done with, like, that's why I pulled them up, is, you know, I forgot that Fiku was on this team, who also, you know, he spent 3-4 years on OG, who are also here. You know, you got JBA, Stanislaw, and Peeping representing NA.
Wildcard is it is a really interesting team that you brought up. I will be 100% honest. I really dislike Wildcard for a lot of reasons. And the turning point came when I was at Fragville and I was casting the quarterfinals, which was Fluxo versus Wildcard. And it might have been the most painful game of Counterstrike I've ever casted. It was just ugly. Like, for the players that were like, obviously we're not saying this is the tier 1 teams. They are tier 2 teams, but they're a tier 2 spot that's respectable and goes to different events and gets invited through VRS to different events, right?
Well, 3 of these players were at the last major with this team.
Yeah. Wildcard, they choked, but Wildcard made it to the major. You know what I mean? Fluxo was also at the major too, but they kind of didn't deserve to be there.
Is Art still on Fluxo?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which he's a really cool guy, and he actually, like, he remembers, like, the staff and stuff. I gotta say, Art, great guy. However, the game that they played at Fragville, it hurt to watch, and it was just disgusting Counter-Strike. I know there's some roster things going on, and the whole chat GPT roster move thing.
Oh my god. Yeah, plus and minus Fuzi in 2 weeks.
That all happened while I was casting that game. That article getting dropped. It was just, I don't think I could ever look at Wildcard again, and I also don't expect them to really make much of a splash in this tournament. If you want me to be 100% honest, I'm going to check who they're going against in the group stages. So they're playing against Enigma, which is Tiski's team. Tiski, you know, a local frag guy. We love him very much. And then presumably they beat them. And then they play 9Z in the upper bracket final. And then, so there's no way in the world Wildcard doesn't make the playoffs. Because either they lose the 9Z and then beat the lower bracket, or they win against 9Z, which is a possibility. I kind of think 9Z is better than them.
I have not watched enough 9Z to know this iteration.
I think Wildcard, with the amount of good teams that are here, get absolutely bounced in the round of 24.
Okay. That makes sense to me. Just they've been so kind of up and down, but it just feels like they were, when we're talking about NA teams and they do have an NA core and they have, for what is at the very least to me, JBA is one of our prospects.
Yes, he still is, and I mean no disrespect to any of the players on Wildcard. I just mean the product that they have put on, for their team right now is it's not good. It's gross. It's ugly. I don't like it. I'm also very not biased isn't the right word, but I'm very passionate about how disgusted I was watching that game. And
That's how I felt about
you can hear it in my cast. Oh god. It felt like that. It felt like Liquid Ecstatic. It felt like just everyone just like forgot how to do the thing.
It's why I'll forever be biased against Icy, and I still don't know how he got multiple tier 1 contracts after that.
I mean, come on, Icy's not that bad.
He's on fucking Virtus Pro, where Perfecto is IGLing after not playing for a year. And just because the article comes out where Blade's like, yeah, I considered making Perfecto IGL after Boomage. Why would you do that? Why would you do that?
I mean, isn't VP playing at Draculand? Or am I...
I think they...
No, VP's playing at something.
Yeah, I think they're still playing. Isn't Flamus standing in for them because he's still on the bench?
Yeah, I'm checking what tournament they're playing at because I don't remember. I thought it was Draculand, but it's not. Oh. Maybe they were playing at Draculand and just got bounced before playoffs even started.
That would not surprise me. I know that they do have Toro now, but I'm not. Let me look at their match history.
Yeah, there's nothing showing on.
Yeah, they have nothing since Fisher when they got bounced by Payne. So if they did play something that level, they didn't even make it to the point where it was recorded by HLTV in order to. It was like not to drag this point further, but it was like when I was watching the newest HLTV Confirmed, and they were talking about FaZe, and they're like, "Oh, FaZe isn't that." Sponge's like, "FaZe isn't that bad." They beat VP, and I'm like, "You are not using VP as a benchmark of quality."
Yeah.
Like, whatever. That's enough about VP. We're talking about Frag. OG is also here.
They should be at Frag, to be honest.
They should be at Frag. They are a Frag level team now. There we go.
Yeah. OG is a sneaky pull that you just did.
I do enjoy OG. OG, I think, is actually, I think this is the best OG that we've seen in some time. I'll always pull for Nikados. We did just talk about Aerostos no longer being on NIP, but he's not a horrible player. He wasn't what they were looking for in the positions that they had, and they needed a star rifler, and that's definitely what Kaspersky is.
Yeah, no, I mean, getting upgraded doesn't necessarily mean that you're the problem. If that makes sense, it's just a team's always going to strive to be the best version of what they can be as a roster. So if you see a hole that you could potentially fill, you're going to do that and just bring up the base of firepower. But with that being said, OG, this is probably the best OG we've seen since they first came into the scene and had like NBK and Montu and all those guys. Adam B, I think, is a great pickup. I think he's a young player that's very versatile and really can be not like a future great, but someone who's definitely going to be able to put up consistent numbers for you. CjDoes, as we just said, a very experienced player, has played big stages before. He was in the playoffs of Cologne, 2 years ago. Nikados, someone that's been around the block a long time. We can say whatever we want about his lack of ability to buy the op, but put a rifle in his hand, put an op in his hand, you're going to get the same result either way, and it's going to be a lot of kills.
And I will say that his rifling is better than his opping. He can op at a quality level, but once he starts, we really saw this in his stint in Heroic. It's sort of actually perfectly defined by his stint from Pressy into Heroic, where he was, tier 2 god, 1.32, farming everyone like crazy in pre-seed. Then he comes into Heroic. And once they start finally, making the playoff edge or like about to make playoffs when he's going against truly elite op talent, he just can't compete. But his rifling is nothing to slouch at. And I don't believe that there are too many ops in attendance of this event who will be able to really challenge him on a mechanical level.
Yeah, no. I mean, Ultimate on paper definitely can.
Should.
Wrinkle, and then once you kind of go past there, I don't really know.
Jambo. I don't think Jambo's Jambo has a
Okay,
currently
I don't hate that.
1.49 opening attempts on CT side.
OG Wizard. How about that?
Ooh. Ooh.
How you think about that one?
Ooh.
Bro might be cooking right
You
now.
might be cooking. You might be right.
No, but yeah, I think Nikodaw's. It's gonna be so weird, right? Because like I have friends playing in this tournament. Like, shout out Dudley, Wildlife Dudley.
Yay,
you know,
Dudley.
great guy. He was on the the major episode of this where we yapped. He's gonna get destroyed. You know what I mean? Like, it's just weird to think that half of this tournament is like, oh, we're gonna get him. We're the heart of NA, and the other half is like, I'm gonna fucking kill you. You know?
No, it's very, it makes me tangentially related to Marsborn. They're all about that Roman Empire / Space Marine stuff. And so it's just very much like, oh man, we're saved. We Fragadelphia is getting bigger. And then just, the big soldiers come off the ship and just absolutely massacre everybody.
Yeah, it's like, I'm in the group that thinks Fragadelphia progressing to the state that it is amazing. Not only as a biased opinion, as the state of NA. Like, sure, it's not going to be exactly what you remembered from the previous tournaments, but like, first of all, in the ecosystem that we're in, Fragadelphia needs to survive. So having tournaments that just target local NA players and like trying to build that as a business just doesn't work. And also, if you want to get good at the game, learn how to beat the good players. I'm terrible at this game, so I don't know if I have the right to speak on this, but like, if you want to get better, you need to face better competition, and that's what this is. You need to build a team from scratch, work your way up, meet people at these events, get onto better teams, network yourself, and eventually build up to the point where you can face these types of players. I think this is the best thing that's happened to NA in a long time, even though it seems like it hurts a lot.
No, I completely agree. Though you don't get better by, just stomping people or going against the same competition over and over again that you understand.
Exactly.
It was talked about for so long. Like, oh, we need another NA Pro League. We need this. We need to revitalize NA. This is about as damn close as you're going to get. I mean, this is some of the highest quality teams coming to a competition where the average NA player that wants to play in these tournaments has a realistic chance of going against some of the best players. They're not the top 20 players in the world. Snappy is nothing to sniff at in terms of calling. Blame F is a player who maybe have attended one major, is nothing to sniff at. The entirety of Liquid is nothing to sniff at. Like, there are a bunch of quality individuals who you can test your mettle against. And if for some reason you do, like, man, you're some NA player and you ace OG, you ace NIP, you do something that just gives you that extra motivation of, shit, maybe I can do this. Maybe it will teach you where you truly stand a bit more.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that point needs to get stressed as much as possible. I just want people to realize that in the long run, this is the best possible thing that's happened to a product in North America for Counterstrike in a very long time. I mean, I would say since like Complexity started doing good, but then they dropped their team, and so it's a bit too soon to say that.
I know
it hurts.
It hurts.
We could talk on a bright side though. So I'm looking at this bracket. And I'm thinking a lot of things. One of them is that the Group H, which I will go through, Colashe, they were the winners over at Windsor, Ontario, Canada. Jacob then got scooped up. Was Jacob on Colashe or BetClick? I don't remember.
Jacob was
I'm a
on
bad.
FaZe?
I'm a bad
he was on
caster.
Apogee, Balatic Apogee or whatever. That's the same organization.
So I said it's not the same organization. Colashe was the other Polish team that had like HypeX and stuff. So ignore what I just said.
Wait,
I got a little bit of a brain fart. Either way,
am I making this up? Did HypeX play for Big for a small period of time? Am I making that up?
He did.
Okay, cool. I'm trying to make sure I'm not crazy.
But either way, okay. So Kaleche will be facing Corrupt Esports. Shout out Caker. Gonna get wiped. I'm sorry. Marsborn is facing Takugawa.
Tokugawa.
How do you say that?
Tokugawa.
Tokugawa. That's
Tokugawa. I'm weeby enough.
To-
I know the word.
I don't even know what that means. But
I don't know what it
Marsborn
means.
is going to be put in the position to have a pretty good seeding going into playoffs. That's one of the teams I really am going to try to focus on a lot during the tournament, is just because of how important this event is to them. And I want that to be stressed. And then I'm trying to find Skin Rave versus presumably what will be Bastia. That is in Group K. That's the main point of contention is Skin Rave, Marsborn, and then 9Z and Wildcard. So I actually think Marsborn can find themselves in a position to really get a leg up early in playoffs, have that easier seeded game for that first round, and then just kind of hope that Skin Rave makes a mistake. Same thing with 9Z and Wildcard. I do really think Wildcard is going to limp into this tournament. I might be a little bit more aggressive on that point than I need to be, but I really I don't trust this lineup. I don't trust this lineup to do very well. I think Magic's going to happen. And I'm really passionate about that because I want it to happen. Because I think it'd be fun. I just want to drive that home. I think Marsborn will make the major based off of Fragadelphia. That's the hot take we're going in for.
I think that's a great hot take. You know, I'm not exactly Marsborn's greatest supporter, but I have followed them pretty much since they came together. And I like what they do. I like them as a team, and I think it would be really great for them to make the major just as the group of players that they are, and for the sort of org. Are they an org? I guess. I forget. I don't know if it's
they are.
It's
owned by Kashmir, who is he's just a really cool guy within the scene. He really cares about the players. I will say Marsborn, organizationally wise, I respect them a lot from top to bottom. They're doing really good things, and a smaller organization, even for NA esports, but still an organization that is trying their hardest. And the potential of a major to those players is absolutely life-changing.
Yeah, sticker money will go a long way, even though I know people like to talk about, oh, it's going down, and it's not that big of a deal anymore. It's still a lot of money, dog.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's like saying that $900,000 isn't a lot because it's not $1 million. Like,
right.
Shut up.
Right.
It's a lot of money, man.
Like, even if you only get, like, oh my god, I only got $100,000 from my stickers.
Yeah. Dude, you know what you could do with that? Buy a house.
That's 2 years of, like, a decent salary for some people.
Yeah. Put it in the bank.
Yeah, just put it in the bank. Man.
I wish I had that much money.
Me too, man. I have...
Casters should get stickers. I would buy a sponge sticker. Well, come on.
I would buy.
Well, I guess I could buy a sponge sticker already. I'd buy a machine. I'd buy a Henry, a Harry, a Hugo.
I have $2. But the groups, I think we've gone on for quite a while.
Yeah, I definitely prolonged that. I got excited. I'm sorry.
I'm fine with that, man. We can cut around. We can not. We can do whatever. But thank you for joining me to help cap this off. You know, of course. It's been great catching up, man. It's been great yapping. I think it'll be really an exciting event, and obviously you guys will elevate it with your casting and all the production team over there.
Thank you. I hope so, man. I do want to say to whoever does see this video, please, if you have the time to watch this event, not only because it feels good for us, but if we get if people like this, if people watch this and it goes well, this is only the beginning of a very this is a very big step, but at the same time it's still a small step forward for what the vision and what could actually be real. So yeah, I hope everyone else is excited as we are, because it's going to be one hell of a weekend next week.
Yeah, and it definitely will be. But that'll be it from us today. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great rest of your day, everyone.